Today on the Diz List, we discuss the top 5 Easter eggs at Walt Disney World.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that ranks everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and happy Easter, and welcome to episode 40, where we discuss the top 5 Easter eggs at Walt Disney World. Happy Easter!
Are we,
That's a family tradition, is how we do it.
Okay.
When it's Easter, we go, Happy Easter!
All right.
No idea why that started. Any family members are going to go, I'm glad you did the Happy Easter.
Okay. I don't know what to do with that, other than to say we are not trying to alienate any listeners who do not celebrate Easter. These are not the kind of Easter eggs that represent anything religious. These are the kinds of Easter eggs that represent the hidden facts, throughout Disney World.
Yep.
Hey, before we get started with the list, I just wanted to ask our listeners if you could continue to share us on Instagram and on Twitter and any social media platforms. If you could encourage your friends to listen along, tell them about the great podcast you've been listening to, that would be great. We always like to see, the growth. We've experienced quite a bit of growth actually in the last month or so.
Yep.
And a lot of that's because of you. So thank you. And if you could continue doing that, that'd be great. But yeah, this week we're going to discuss the Easter eggs hidden throughout the parks.
Yeah, so an Easter egg is basically something that is kind of like a secret message is maybe another way we would put it, or a secret symbol is maybe better than the term message.
Yeah.
So a symbol.
I mean, it could be. It could be a message.
And it originated from like an Easter egg hunt where you're looking around the yard for something that's there, and there's a lot of. It's kind of become a big thing on YouTube. If you watch really any show or movie that's kind of involved in something that has a bigger fandom, you'll see the different videos that say top 5 Easter eggs from The Mandalorian, or top 5 Easter eggs from The Last of Us. It's a big thing in pop culture. That's basically for the people that are not familiar with the term Easter eggs.
Hey, so I wanted to discuss with you something.
Yeah.
That I wanted to discuss this on the air.
Okay.
We discussed it last night a little bit about a restaurant that just opened up.
Yeah.
And since this episode, since our premise for this whole show came about that we were going to basically debate our top 5s, and a lot of times we don't have any debate because we agree with each other. This is one where I know we don't.
Yeah.
Roundup Rodeo Barbecue opened up.
Yep. In Hollywood Studios.
And Rob, you are pro.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I think it looks like a joke.
Yeah. So the part I like, and there's a couple things that I like about it. So this restaurant is new, and it is part of Toy Story Land, and it's all themed to Toy Story and the characters. And Woody's Roundup specifically, is that what it's called?
Woody's Roundup Rodeo Barbecue, I think.
Roundup Rodeo Barbecue.
I think.
Okay. What I've seen, and I'm merely commenting on what I've seen, the exterior of the building is kind of okay. The interior looked fun, and this is the part I love, and my friend next to me hates this. So while you were there dining, there is an announcement made that Andy is coming. And for many years, there was a rumor that if you're at the parks and you yell, Andy's coming, the toys drop to the ground. So what they've decided to do in this restaurant, and I've seen video of this.
Yeah, and Andy's played over the speakers. Yep. Yeah.
And so they go, Andy's coming. And everybody in the restaurant freezes.
Except for me. Because this is stupid.
I think it's great.
I think this is the dumbest idea ever.
Everybody pauses, and you hear Andy over the PA come into the room and walk around, and then everyone just kind of goes back. I love it. Nick hates it.
If you happen to see some guy in there who is bald with a beard eating through this and talking to his family through this entire spiel. It's me, and I've broken down and gone because this is the dumbest idea I've ever heard of. I will not go to it simply because of how dumb that is.
I think it's great. I love it. I would participate. When that happened, I would stand up on purpose and like do some really funny pose and pause. I love that stuff.
I think it's so stupid. And then when you sign your check, they bring a giant pencil for you to sign your check with that is like massive because, you're toy sized. Because you have to stay in themed, right? Because I want to know where those giant ass pencils are over at the lunchbox. They're not there. So why the hell I'm sorry. This whole restaurant is a big giant miss for me. First of all, it's family style dining. I have no desire to do another family style all you care to enjoy.
So it's a buffet?
No.
Or they just
they bring you your barbecue on a big giant platter.
So all the prices are the same, and you just pick A, B, C, or D?
No.
How's it work?
It's like Garden Grill or those places where they'll bring out. You know what? It's very similar to an Ohana, except for
no shrimp.
Yeah, they bring out barbecue, which by the way, every report I've seen is it's dry, but they provide barbecue sauce. Well, guess what? Real barbecue doesn't need barbecue sauce.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going because of that. 2, it's not cheap for bad barbecue. 3, I am not freezing in the middle of my meal so you can have your little role play.
I disagree. I think that's awesome. And it's a reason for me to go there. Like if it didn't have that, I would be like, meh, just another barbecue place. See, that motivates me to want to go.
Well,
and
good.
I realize you're on the opposite, but it's a gimmick for me to want to go in there. And I'm not saying I'm going to love it and do it every time. Now there's a reason for me to go.
This, for me, is everything wrong with themed dining.
Sure.
If I wanted to go to Hoop-de-Doo Review for crowd participation.
Yeah, and there's a show going on stage.
I would go.
Yeah.
I want to eat look, as it is, my barbecue is cooling and drying in front of me, and you're going to make me freeze? Because a fictional character is coming over the speakers? This is the dumbest idea. I'm sorry. And I know a lot of people are all, oh my God, isn't it so cute? Look at these big, ginormous pencils I have to sign my check with. Shut up. This is dumb. It's dumb. I'm not going. Like, it came out and my wife was like, what? And I was like, exactly. We aren't going. Because we were like, we'll wait and see what it's like. And then we saw it and I was like, yep, not happening.
I think it's awesome.
I think it's dumb.
So here's what we got to do. So when this episode comes out, we need to have, and look, if more people hate it, that's cool. Like, I don't care. I'm curious. Let's do.
Oh, you're going to win this battle.
Well, maybe.
Oh, trust me, it's been universally received well on the internet.
Okay.
The food hasn't, which is beyond me. That like, it's the food's only okay, but hey, I got to freeze in the middle of my meal.
Let's be specific. What are we voting like or dislike? Everything in the restaurant?
Just the restaurant.
Just the restaurant in general. That includes food.
I think we should have a vote on social media that says, "Will you go to?" Are you Team Rob?
Okay.
And you will go to it? Are you Team Nick and you will skip it?
Okay.
Because for me, I'm going to skip it until my wife makes me go.
Okay.
I will go if my kids really want to go.
All right.
I will not freeze during the Andy's coming. It's my meal. Right?
I'm curious about this, and in no way I'm going to win. Like this isn't one I'm going to die on this hill. I'm just curious what our listeners think. Yeah, if they think it sounds fun, or they're with you, I don't want that part of my experience. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's going to be. I think you're going to win, and I'm fine with it. I'm fine with being in the minority here. It's not for me. It's not for me. It's like sci-fi dining, not for me.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it would be weird if you had like 5% no, or 5% Nick. I would be surprised.
I think there'll be
My guess is going to be 25 you, 75.
Well, because the family style meals, the all you care to enjoy family style meals are notoriously bad, with the exception of the breakfast.
Sure.
breakfasts usually are good, but the other ones are generally pretty bad because of the service. They rush you. They try to. It's all about turnover, right?
Yep.
Because
Hana was like that too.
Because
when we went,
it's not like the longer you stay there, the more upcharges you get.
Yeah.
It's here's your meal, eat it, get out, so we can put another table in here and get the same amount of tip from them. Like it, I don't get it. I don't know what Disney's new obsession is with prefix family style meals. Other than that, it's easier for the chef. But like, let's be honest, Disney does not do barbecue well on a good day. Like Regal Eagle's probably the best on property barbecue, maybe Flame Tree, or not on property, in like Disney owned barbecue. If you really want good barbecue, go to Disney Springs, go to Polite Pig. Like, just skip over these barbecue places. But yeah, I don't really have much of anything for you other than to say that I'm not going to be going.
Okie doke.
So we're going to head off to the halftime show, which is actually going unsponsored this week.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. Couldn't get a sponsor.
Okay.
So I think actually it's sponsored by Dead Air.
All right. Let's, here's a message brought to you by Dead Air. That was good. That was good.
It was.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy some.
Me too.
Bye. Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. No matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. When you want to take your conversation with your fans to the next level, Q&A and polls are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. Best of all, it's totally free, and there's no catch. When we discovered Spotify for Podcasters, we unlocked a door to a world where we could celebrate our passion, and we could create a community around what we love. I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. Welcome back. Today we're going to count down the top 5 Easter eggs that we have over at Walt Disney World.
Nice.
Yeah.
This stuff's fun.
I agree. And I think I always find something new.
Mm-hmm.
I found one while I was researching this episode, and I'm going to wait until the end to talk about it. Just remind me to bring it up, because I don't know if it's on your list, and I've never seen it, so that's why I didn't put it on my list.
Sure.
But if they showed a picture of it, and it's kind of interesting. I want to see if you knew about it. I'll be interested to find out if you knew about it, because it is in one of your favorite attractions. So
okay.
I want you to bring that back up at the end. And if you don't, listeners are going to be like, wait, that was an awful cliffhanger from the beginning of the episode. All right. So as we said, an Easter egg, as we define it, is something that maybe is a little bit hidden. You can almost think of like hidden Mickeys as Easter eggs, but these are beyond hidden Mickeys.
Mm-hmm.
At least for me, they are. I don't know if you put hidden Mickeys on there, but
no, I don't care too much. I mean, some people love doing the hidden Mickeys. If
it's a really cool hidden Mickey.
Yeah. I'm not a hidden hidden Mickey hunter. And a lot of people are. Yeah. And there's YouTube videos that are like all the hidden Mickeys in Fantasyland, and they go through all of them. And that's cool. Like,
I think it's cool, but those aren't the kind of Easter eggs we're talking about.
No.
So we're just talking about things that maybe they're right in your face and you don't even notice it.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
and a lot of times when I make these lists, it's hard to make them. And I really need to think. And I mean, research is always involved either way. And I love doing that part. But sometimes it's like, man, this is a hard one. And we've done a couple recently we thought were hard lists. This one, these rattled off the top of my head really fast because they're ones I really like and I think about them a lot. So this was an easier list for me. Was it for you?
Yeah. I mean, the only issue I had was ranking the bottom two, which one went where.
Sure.
So that was it.
Okay. My number 5 is in the Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
And it is in the ride queue for The Little Mermaid.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to read Nick's face.
No, it's not on my list. I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah. So and it's interesting because this ties into another one. A lot of mine are sort of intertwined. You'll see why. So the number 5 is the Hidden Nautilus ship in the Little Mermaid ride queue.
Good call.
So when you're waiting in line for the Little Mermaid, it's almost kind of like, a grotto and caves and rock formations.
Mm-hmm.
And the attraction, the Little Mermaid, in 1995, I think it opened, because the ride that was previously there was a giant lagoon, and it was a ride called 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which was based on an older Disney movie with this submarine. And you get into the submarine, which I did when I was really little. You get into it, and you kind of go around, and you see all these underwater things, and you get attacked by the monster, the squid at the end. So that was open from 71 through 94. And then, kind of as a tribute, when they redid Little Mermaid in the place where 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea used to be, there's a place where you can see it. We found it. I remember we were walking through the queue together.
Yeah, we saw it.
And I'm like, there it is. There's there's no way I can describe to you where it is, other than it's the outside part, not the inside part.
Correct. I mean, I don't know how you describe it. Go around, and on the third turn, it's
so look for it. I can tell you this much: when you're walking in, it's on the left, and it's.
I think you took a picture of it.
I think I did.
So if I can find that picture, because it's in our folder.
Yeah.
If I can find it, I'll post it on Instagram when this episode goes up. But yeah.
And that's a fun one. And I like when Disney says, hey, we recognize our history, and we're going to throw in a little bit of a tribute to what used to be here. So even though we have this new ride, which is a great ride, and to be completely honest, I love the nostalgic stuff, but this is better. It's better in its place, and they definitely made an improvement, which is not always the case in my opinion. But I think the Little Mermaid ride, especially that queue, is great, and just a little nod towards the history and the ride that used to be there. So my number 5 is the Hidden Nautilus ship in the Little Mermaid queue.
That's a good call. My number 5 is the source of our greatest debate ever.
Ooh.
Dinosaurs condiments.
Oh, that's my, I got that right here. It's on my honorable mention.
So if you haven't, there's a callback for you.
Yeah.
I can't remember the episode number, but we had quite a heated debate about which condiment that is represented over in Dinosaur is better. And what I mean by these condiments, on the wall, you will see 3 pipes: a white pipe, a red pipe, and a yellow pipe. And you will see chemical equations. I guess the best way to chemical compounds.
Yeah. My daughter's in Ken. We could bring her in to describe it, right?
Yeah. Probably not. I love your daughter, but I don't know if that would work. But we definitely have, when you look up at them, they definitely have the actual chemical compositions of the particular condiments of mayo, mustard, and ketchup.
Right.
And I just think that's kind of a funny, just a funny way to incorporate that. And can you remind, why is it that?
Because the ride was originally sponsored by McDonald's.
Yeah, which I'm not really sure why that ride was sponsored by McDonald's.
Well, McDonald's doesn't use mayo.
Yeah, they do.
On what?
On, what do you think the special sauce is?
It's mayo and ketchup mixed.
Right?
Yeah, but wouldn't they...
Fish fillet?
They put mayo on fish fillet?
Well, it's
or the chicken sandwich?
It's tartar sauce, technically.
Chicken sandwich. There you go.
But there's mayo.
Do they put mayo on the grilled chicken sandwich? Or the chicken patty sandwich?
Why?
It's been a long time since I ordered one of those.
It's been a long time since I ate McDonald's.
Yeah. Well, McDonald's has gluten-free fries, so we always go through the drive-thru and we get fries.
I can't remember the last time I ate McDonald's. But, yeah, so for me, I would say that is the number 5, partially because I think it's kind of a cool little nod to McDonald's, and partially due to this show and the fact that we got in a pretty heated argument over whether it was mustard or you were mayo.
Oh my God, this comes up in conversation all the time with people that I know that listen to the show. who will come up and say, "You're right. It's definitely Nick doesn't know what he's talking about. It's definitely not mustard. He's crazy." And I'll be like, "Well, I like mayo. That was my favorite." "No way. I think ketchup is the best." Like, it's a debate that like echoes and comes up often. Do people still talk to you about it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this. My wife is an educator as well, and she works at a school where a teacher every year picks a random thing during March, and they do a March Madness bracket. And this year's thing, last year was sandwiches. This year it was condiments.
Oh, okay.
I picked mustard to go all the way.
I'm sure you did.
And I will tell you, mustard has I was looking. I don't know if it's got competition. I'm sorry. I'm hoping that mustard wins because I'm going to take a picture of the winning bracket and I'm going to post it on our Instagram and say I was right all along. I don't know how you argue against mustard.
Mustard's good. It's not, it's number 3.
All
it's
right.
not number 1.
We don't need to have the debate again, but my number 5 Easter egg at Walt Disney World is the ketchup, mayo, and number 1 mustard at Animal Kingdom in Dinosaur.
All right. Number 4. Number 4 for me is a fun one that we always like to get our picture taken with. My kids will always get their picture taken. Specifically, my daughter likes this attraction and we'll get her picture taken next to it. And that is in the Magic Kingdom. It is called Harper's Mill. Now, Harper's Mill is a tribute, an Easter egg tribute to an Imagineer whose name is Harper Goff. So Harper Goff he's an Imagineer, and he assisted with Walt on the original layouts for the Disneyland park. So when he decided what was going to go everywhere, Harper Goff worked specifically with him. Harper Goff also worked on Main Street USA, Jungle Cruise, designed the Epcot World Showcase layout, which I know you will like. Mm-hmm. And also, which ties to my number 5, he designed the Nautilus for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea for the movie and then from there into the attraction. So that's Harper Goff. So when you're walking in Frontierland and you look over on Tom Sawyer Island, you'll see there's this big mill, and on the side of the mill, it says Harper's Mill. And it's kind of a cool thing. It's a tradition that I got my picture taken next to Harper's Mill. So then I will take a picture of my kids also next to Harper's Mill, and we'll kind of like look at, hey, here's me from 1983. Here's a picture of the kids also next to Harper's Mill. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's my number 4 is Easter egg is Harper's Mill. There's a real Harper who helped just design all of the attractions.
I kind of would like to add on to that.
Sure.
In that, because one of my honorable mentions was not a specific Imagineer like this one is about, but about all of the different Imagineers they've given nods to. So
also on my honorable mention,
okay,
the Imagineers' names.
Okay, yeah,
on Main Street.
All right, so that I just was going to say that like the mill, which I understand has special meaning to you, mm-hmm. but like just in general, like the fact that they give nods to the Imagineers that you maybe not even know. There was like one outside of Muppet Vision it's a net filled with Jell-O.
Oh, Annette Funicello.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah,
one of the original Mouseketeers.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's kind of
that is cool.
They do little things.
Yeah,
like that.
I had that. So my honorable mentions are now done. You said both of them. That's great.
My bad.
No, not at all. That's great. And we're thinking alike. It's excellent. So what'd you have for 4?
My number 4 is an audio Easter egg.
Ooh.
So on the People Mover, when you're going around, paging Mr. Morrow, Mr. Tom Morrow.
Ah, good one.
Because you're in Tomorrowland.
Very
you're
cool.
On the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover. I think that's one of those ones where you're like, wait, did they just say that? And they took it away for a little while. So there was like the original soundtrack, I don't know, what do you want to call it, the voiceover. They took it away and then they brought it back because there was like an outcry. And they have updated the narration, but paging Mr. Morrow is still there.
Good. They include Tron now. I think that was the addition.
Yeah. So paging Mr. Tom Morrow is. I even have socks that have like that say paging Mr. Tom Morrow on them. They are pretty comfortable socks actually.
That's cool.
But I think that's kind of cool when they do things that like it takes you a few times and you're like, wait, what? Tom Morrow.
Yeah.
Oh, tomorrow. We're in Tomorrowland. Oh, I get it. So I know that's not, I don't have a big, long, extravagant story about it or anything like that, but I think it's kind of a cool little nod to the fact that you're in Tomorrowland.
Definitely.
And I love the People Mover anyway. So it's one of those ones that I always look forward to hearing, paging Mr. Morrow, Mr. Tom Morrow. So I don't know. That's my number 4 was that. And like I said, 4 and 5, I couldn't figure out where I wanted to put them. And I thought that 5 might go to 4. My condiments might go to 4, but then I was like, I only want it to go there because of the argument we had on the air. So number 4 for me is Mr. Tom Morrow on People Mover.
Now, my 3, 2, and 1, I had a hard time with also deciding what order they were going to go in. And my 1 and 2 are kind of related, but I wanted to kind of put those ahead. But this number 3 is such a good one that 3, 2, and 1 for me are all really, really cool for me personally. Number 3, it is in Hollywood Studios, which doesn't, I don't really think of a lot of different Easter eggs that are in Hollywood Studios.
They're mostly in your face over there.
They are. So over in Galaxy's Edge, the little Star Wars land over there, if you walk around if you can find the restaurant called Docking Bay 7, if you stand back and you look at it from a distance and you see kind of the entrance to Docking Bay 7 and you look up, there are 3 giant storage containers, above. And on the side of them, there's a giant number printed on each one of the 3 containers.
Oh,
there is a 77, an 80, and an 83. And those numbers represent, Nick knows it.
Yeah, the years that the original trilogy was released.
That's correct.
That's one I didn't even know.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yep. And so next time you are at Hollywood Studios, look for that up top. It's kind of high up, but you can see it. I think it's the containers are like a grayish, and then I think the numbers, if I remember it correctly, are in like a bright orangish yellow color. So they're really easy to see. So you just have to stand back and take a look. And it's cool that it's a nice tribute to that original trilogy.
I agree.
Which are my 3 favorite movies.
Walt Disney World has a history of doing stuff with numbers. So if you go over to Magic Kingdom, they also have a number Easter egg. Have you ever been over to the splash pad over in Storybook Circus?
Oh, the train.
The trains?
Yeah.
The train cars have... There's 4 train cars and they have 4 dates on, or there's 5 train cars and they have 5 dates on them. Did you know that?
I feel like I did. And I also, this reminded me of another one where there's a date for the opening of.
They don't have dates.
Of Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So this is the one. They have numbers.
That is this.
They have numbers on the back of them.
Okay.
And the numbers represent the digits of the years that the parks open. So they've got Disneyland, Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom.
Okay.
So they're like the circus cars have like numbers to represent their spot in the circus train or whatever. Yeah. So there's another one for you that's involving
cool.
years.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So that's my number 3 is the hidden dates for the original trilogy and Galaxy's Edge.
So my number 3 is also in Hollywood Studios.
Oh.
And it's one that I don't know if you've ever even noticed.
Oh.
Because I know that you like this ride, but you have a love-hate relationship with it. Slinky Dog Dash.
Mm-hmm.
When you go up to it, there's the queue timer.
Yep.
Right? And it's in the shape of a dog tag. Okay?
Yeah.
If you go past it, so you see the front, it's got the clock. When you go underneath and you turn around, it's Buster's tag.
Really?
Yeah. It's Andy's dog's tag, Buster.
That whole thing is the tag.
So if you look up a picture of this, it is shaped like a dog tag. And then when you walk underneath and you turn around, it's Buster's tag. It's the dog tag from Andy's dog. So on the outside, it makes sense. It looks like a dog tag because it's like hanging there. It just looks like a dog tag. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of shaped like a coin.
Yeah.
Same color. And it looks like it's clipped on something above. And on the front, standby entrance with the time, just like you said.
Yep.
And now it shows an image of the back, and it says Buster and 234 Elm Street is the back of the the dog tag on the collar.
Yeah, which also reminds me.
I did not know that one.
Yeah, which also reminds me, is Andy living on the same Elm Street as Freddy Krueger? Dun dun dun.
Oh, I want to find out what the house number is for the Freddy Krueger.
So I think this is a cool one just because of I love all the Easter eggs in Toy Story Land, like looking at all the different toys that like we owned as kids. You know, the Tinker toys and the Lincoln logs and all of that. But the erector sets and the boxes of the Boggle board and the Scrabble board and the Green Army Men. I think that's all cool, but this is one that you're not necessarily looking for because you're too busy looking at the toys.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's my number 3 is the dog tag return time or lightning lane, or I don't know if it's, what is it? It's not the lightning lane. It's the queue time, standby time.
Yep.
So the wait.
I have an answer for your Freddy Krueger question.
Yeah. Okay.
Freddy Krueger's house is 1428 Elm Street.
Okay.
And
so it's just up the block.
Yeah, theirs is, what is it, 234?
Yeah.
Was their number?
Yeah, 234.
Huh.
So
there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. My number 2 is one that we looked at last time we were there, and it's kind of funny and fun. And when I looked this one up, there I got to read the specific things that are related to this, and this is in the Haunted Mansion. At the very end, when you walk out of the Haunted Mansion, on the hill on the left is the Pet Cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're smiling.
No.
Okay. The Pet Cemetery on the left at the very top has Mr. Toad.
I knew you were going to have this.
Yes. So Mr. Toad, and his ride was one of my favorites from when I was little, and it was called Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and it was part of the Magic Kingdom Park for many, many years until 1998. And then in 1998, they decided they were going to close it, and they were going to open Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh's Bad Acid Trip.
There you go.
There's another callback.
Yep.
Episode 2.
Yes. And so this Pet Cemetery has a sculpture of Mr. Toad in it because Mr. Toad is no longer there. He is in Disneyland, but no longer in the Magic Kingdom. But I looked up some of these other pets, and it's really funny. There's one that's a snake, and it was the snake that got in the fight with a rake, and it was buried and rest in pieces, it says. Did you ever know any of these? They're funny. And there's the one with the cat.
Yeah, they're all like just kind of funny tongue-in-cheek jokes,
The cat one is hilarious because it says all the dates for all the 9 lives and how the cat died each of the 9 times.
Yeah, that one I've definitely looked at.
Really funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you look that up, there's more than just those ones. But the Pet Cemetery, as you exit, after you go through the Haunted Mansion, you kind of walk out, and on the left-hand side, it's kind of up on a hill. You have to look up and see it, and there's Mr. Toad smiling and waving and all the other funny pets that are located on that hill.
I can't recall, but back when we did the Q episode, did we put Haunted Mansion Q on our list, either of us? I know I didn't put it on mine.
I don't remember.
Because here's what I will tell you is,
now
that I think about it, the Haunted Mansion Q is the only queue I can think of that has both an entrance and exit queue in a way.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that it's worth your while, like taking your time. It's one of those ones where I'm okay waiting a little bit because you can get to see some really cool stuff.
Well, more than half the time when I'm in the queue for Haunted Mansion, it's closed off.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to go up and, there's the bookshelf there and there's the organ and all these other, all the different like head busts. But a lot of times they have
Madame Leota.
Yeah, they have it roped off. Madame Leota, you see, because Madame Leota's in the graveyard right before you walk in. But there's a whole.
Oh, you're talking about the area where where
you can touch,
where the books kind of move.
Yeah, but that's I would honestly more than half the time it's closed off.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a bummer. My number 2 is Mr. Toad in the Pet Cemetery.
My number 2 is also over in Magic Kingdom, and it is in a part of a queue that you can only see if you have a lightning lane. It used to be the fast passes, but it is the stalemate match in Pirates.
Oh, yes.
So in Pirates of the Caribbean, there is a scene in the queue. There are 2 skeletons sitting at a chess table, and there is a game going on, and the pieces are arranged such that any move that could be made would result in a checkmate. So I did some research on this because I just was like, this is kind of cool, but like, how did they, like, what if something happened where they moved the game? They had to, clean stuff. Did anybody say anything? And it turns out my question was a very good one because Mark Davis, the Imagineer for this, actually thought of it.
Wow.
And was like, what if somebody goes and moves this stuff? He left a sketch underneath the board, taped underneath the board of how to reset it back up.
Wow.
Because he wanted this like hidden thing. So you go by and you're like, oh, look, those two guys died playing chess. And then you realize if you're a chess person, which I'm not, but just knowing that they went that far to make sure that like if a move were made any direction of any piece left on the board, it results in a checkmate. Cool. I think is a pretty cool thing. You can, like I said, you can only see it from the lightning lane, and you'll, when you're coming in, it's off to the side. I don't know how to describe it. It's like you have to kind of bend down and look through that little.
You have to look through a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
And then once you look in the hole in the wall, you have to kind of get your head in there and then look down.
Yeah, it's not easy to see, but it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That queue actually is really well themed.
Yeah. And it's dark and air conditioned, which is really nice.
Yeah.
As I mentioned before, I like the contrast sometimes between everything bright and sunny and warm, and then it's cool and dark. Like that's kind of what makes it interesting is that when you go to a Disney park, they make these environments so incredibly different. Ratatouille's like that too, where it totally changes where you are.
And I would say too, like these Easter eggs we're talking about, to think of we talk often, we sing the praises often of these Imagineers, but this is a perfect example of how Imagineers they're a whole different level. Yep. They're not just like, let me make sure these colors work together. Yep. Let me make sure that you feel as though you are in this area, or you're getting smaller going into Remy's Ratatouille Adventure.
Right, or this is like, a circus-themed area, right, so we're putting peanuts in the concrete on the ground.
Right, that's one thing. They are putting these ridiculously intricate Easter egg details that are callbacks to things that nobody would even think about. And some of it is just like, like the tugging on the earlobe sort of like nod to your friend at home, right? When you're on TV. This is for some of them, it was meant just as like I hope my kids see this because this is like me saying hi to them in these moments. But it is so cool that those things exist in the park. The stalemate game is just one of those that is like, I can't, like, to be on that level of thinking, why are these two skeletons at this chess table? Oh, I know.
They played chess till they died.
Because
there was no way.
Yeah. There was no way for anybody to win. Yeah. And neither one of them wanted to resign. Yep. Nobody was going to wave the white flag. And so they just sat there and waited. And that, my friends, is why you have a timer when you're playing chess. No, but seriously, I think that some of these things, it's just like, wow, I can't even imagine thinking that in depth. So, all right, so that was my number 2. Now we're on to your number 1, I think I know what it is.
Yeah, my number 1 is an extension of number 2. So my number 1, and this is, again, on my mind because I am really looking forward to going to Disneyland and riding Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Now, I will say, I've rewatched Mr. Toad recently with my son because Mr. Toad is it's like a half movie. The first half is Mr. Toad and the second half is Ichabod.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And the Headless Horseman. Yeah, I didn't watch the second half, but that's what it is. So I rewatched it. I don't think my son was too enthusiastic with, and it didn't hold up as well as I hoped it would have, but that Mr. Toad's Wild Ride was just so much fun for me when I was a kid. So I have these, again, say this time and time and time again, nostalgia for me. And that's kind of my role in this podcast. I get it. But in 1998, Mr. Toad, they decided, not Mr. Toad didn't decide, but Disney decided.
That would be weird if he did.
Yeah, he's a weird guy. If you watch that movie, you'll see.
I'm retiring.
He wants a motor car. If you rewatch, that's what he says over and over.
Yeah.
A motor car. So they closed the ride in 1998 and decided to retheme it to Winnie the Pooh. But I don't get why they couldn't have just opened a brand new Winnie the Pooh ride, because that's what they did in Disneyland. They kept the Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and then added a Winnie the Pooh ride. So there's two separate ones in Disneyland. Why couldn't they have done that and not closed Mr. Toad? Anyway, getting to the point, once they redid Winnie the Pooh and they decided to put in a little Easter egg as a tribute to Mr. Toad. So when you go on the ride, it's not immediately, but once you start and you kind of move in a little bit on the left-hand side, once you go through a set of doors, you're going to look on the left. You're going to see there is a framed photo or a framed painting of Mr. Toad having the deed in his hand and handing it to Owl, one of the characters of Winnie the Pooh. So every time I ride the ride, I will turn and go, Mr. Toad. And I point to Mr. Toad, and then we continue on with the ride. So that one's my favorite, and it's a nice little tribute, even though so many people were upset that they closed Mr. Toad. But I guess the good news for me is I can still ride it when I go to Disneyland. It's not like it's gone forever. And, Walt Disney said it's not a museum. It's ever evolving, and we have to not get angry and let it evolve. And that's nothing to do with things like, the cost of things and all that. It's always going to grow and evolve into something different. And I think that's just a nice tribute to something that everybody loves. So my number one is Mr. Toad handing the deed to Owl.
So I cannot wait for you to get back from your Disneyland trip, which you are, as this episode is being released, you're currently at Disneyland, actually.
Yes.
But I can't wait because I want to ask you, does it hold up? Because you just said that doesn't hold.
It probably doesn't, but
no, but you know what I mean. Like sometimes you're like, oh, I'm so nostalgic for that thing I had as a child. Like that. There's like that snack you had as a child, then you get one as an adult, and you're like, oh, this is disgusting.
Well, and we'll see. And I'm not going to weigh my kids' reactions on it because they don't have a connection.
It's you.
With
it's
got
to be your. Yeah. It's got to be. I'm going to be interested to see if you say, yep, it did exactly what I wanted it to do.
I would say the last time I rode it was probably, it closed in 98. I feel like before senior year, last time I was there was probably 19. No, I misspoke. The last time I was in Disney before it closed, I believe was 1995.
Okay.
So that's how long ago it's been since I have ridden the ride.
Okay.
And that doesn't count watching it on YouTube.
All right. Well, I am excited for you that you're going to be getting to go. Maybe right now, as somebody is listening to this, now, Rob is getting on to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
No, I'm at California Adventure right now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Sorry.
right now, I will be getting on to
Incredicoaster?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right. So that brings me to my number one. And I can't believe that we didn't match up a single time.
No.
But I can in a way because there's so many cool Easter eggs at the parks. My number one is the Cinderella fountain at the castle.
Oh.
Do you know about this Easter egg?
I don't know if I do.
So it's just
I know where it is. It's
Yeah.
off to the side when you're heading down towards Frontierland.
So it looks just like a fountain with Cinderella sitting there, like the statue of Cinderella, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yep. It's her before she turns into her wedding dress.
Or is it? Or is it after?
I don't know.
So if you are the height of a child
Sure.
and you look at it, there is a crown upon her head. So there's that alcove that is painted.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, look up a picture.
Sure.
It is actually pretty cool.
Sure.
So if you've never seen this, and I was so skeptical, I'm like, this isn't real. Because, I was like, whatever. But Disney is so good at forced perspective and taking advantage of perspectives that, like, if you look at the Cinderella castle as an adult.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. If you look at the Cinderella castle,
so,
not castle, but the fountain as an adult, it just looks like she's sitting there in her peasant dress. And then as a child, when you're lower, there is a crown upon her head.
Yeah. So it's painted on a mural behind her. So there is a statue of her, but behind her is this painted mural with these, kind of abstract shapes. But one of those abstract shapes is the shape of a crown that you wouldn't notice unless you looked at it from below. So I invite you to look that up and see what Nick's talking about. And I don't think I knew about this one. This is really interesting.
I think it's such a cool thing, and I wish I should have written it down. There is a quote from an Imagineer, but basically says essentially that sometimes it takes a child to see the true potential.
Disney prides itself on looking at the world like a child. And
yes.
One of the best ways that it illustrates this point is in the statue of Cinderella outside of her castle. From the view of an adult, the statue depicts Cinderella working as a peasant. But from below, children look up to see she is smiling, and a crown is behind her head.
Isn't that so cool?
Yeah.
I just got goosebumps.
Yeah. I didn't make that up. I looked that up.
Yeah. I think it is so cool.
That's great.
And it is one of those Easter eggs that you as an adult would have to kind of get down and look at, and your kids probably just see it differently than you. And it's always important to remember that, and this is kind of a bigger picture, stepping back from everything, but perspective matters, right?
Yeah.
So no matter what, you have to think about things from a different perspective. And this is a very good reminder of that Disney has kind of built into this Easter egg, is that your perspective matters. And so that's why I think this is I don't think this is my number one.
Yeah.
But that's why I think this is one of the coolest Easter eggs in any park anywhere.
Yeah.
Is this.
I'm happy there was a couple I did not know about that you had. I think that's great.
Yeah. So that's it. Do you have any honorable mentions you wanted to bring up?
My honorable mentions, let me look. I think
I brought them up.
Yeah. My honorable mentions were mayo, ketchup, mustard, in that order, and all the Imagineers' names on the top of the buildings on Main Street.
Yeah. So at the top of the show, I said, remind me.
Yes. I'm reminding you right now.
Okay, cool. I reminded you to remind me?
Correct.
Okay. So
I would not have remembered.
The Haunted Mansion, there is a chair that has a hidden Donald.
Really?
That's what I said. Look up the hidden Donald chair on Haunted Mansion. This chair has a silhouette of Donald on it, and I was like, what? And it's kind of abstract, obscure thing, but it's in one of two spots. They said it moves. Yeah.
I'm looking at it now. Sure, it's kind of Donald. It's kind of a tiki head. Okay. I'm curious where that is now.
So it moves around, they said.
Okay.
But yeah, I've never seen it. I don't know that I would recognize it as Donald.
I've ridden this ride a lot, and I would remember this.
I would love for people to write in and comment, oh yeah, how did you not know that? Or what are you talking about?
Huh.
Because I've seen the pictures and I'm still not entirely sold on it.
It looks like, no, I was going to say here's stairs. It looks like it's on the left next to the long hallway, possibly.
So that's one spot it can be. And then, so I was reading up on it. There's two spots it could be. But because it moves, which I don't understand why it moves, but either way, it's weird, right? It's painted on the back, looks as though it might be a Donald silhouette, but it also might be something that could have been a chair in the tiki room, right? Because it's kind of tiki-ish.
It does. It has the kind of that look of a tiki statue.
And I understand this is a really dumb conversation for an audio format where you can't see a picture of it, but
man, I don't know. I feel like this might be something that wasn't intentional. Are they saying it's intentional?
No, I read this thing. They're like, oh yeah, the hidden Donald, blah, 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 blah. And then so maybe it's not intentional. I don't know. It's kind of like when anytime there's something round next to something else that's round, they're like, oh, it's a hidden Mickey. Right. But yeah, so that's one I wasn't sure if you'd ever heard of, and I'm not sold on it being actual hidden Donald. And if it were a hidden Donald, why would it be in Haunted Mansion? And I don't, because
I don't know. Donald and Mickey and Goofy had that ghost cartoon, which is one of my favorites.
Right, but I don't know. Maybe. I wasn't sure if you had thought of, or if you had heard of that before. So you don't have anything else to mention?
No, I mean, there's so many. I mean, honestly, I did this list very, very quickly because there's so many of them. I mean, we could do part 2, 3, and 4 of this episode because there's so much good stuff.
And there's a bunch even at resorts too that are very interesting. So I really enjoyed this one. Before we go, I just wanted to ask our listeners again, please, share us with your friends and family.
Help us grow.
Word of mouth is the best way to grow. The other thing is, if you could, if you're not following us, please follow us on Instagram and on Twitter at DizListPod. But I really appreciate all of you who have been following and have been sharing, because it has not gone unnoticed. We've been certainly growing by leaps and bounds the last month or so. So I wanted to thank you, honestly, because it's been really fun to see. And it kind of reinvigorates us every time we see that, okay, we're doing something that matters. We had a couple really, really great comments on a post a couple weeks ago. We posted something that said top 5 reasons to listen to the Diz List, and someone responded that, it's changed the way that I'm going to approach my next vacation.
Great.
So I think that's awesome, and I hope we can continue to do that. So thank you so much for being loyal supporters and listeners. But it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.